with a $20 bill and get a $20 coin made of 1 ounce of pure fine gold plus a little bit of alloy, and he could walk out just like that. That's the way the founders intended it to be. I am, unfortunately, one of the two acknowledged experts in the constitutional history of American monetary policy. I say, unfortunately, because there isn't enough business to keep both of us professionally working at it. But we're hopefully changing that around. In the debates in the Constitutional Convention of 1787, on August 16th, when they were actually writing the Constitution, there was a huge debate as to whether to give the federal government the power to issue unconvertible paper money. And they almost had a riot and voted 9 states to 2 for taking out the language that would have given the federal government the power to issue inconvertible paper money. They had just lived through something called the Continental, which was paper money printed by the Continental Congress that immediately lost its value over the course of just a couple of years, maybe a few years, by 1,000 to 1. So everybody, the soldiers, the merchants, the civilians, who innocently accepted paper money as if it were the real deal, hard money, gold or silver, lost everything. Everything. It was an outrage. Thomas Paine, who wrote the book Common Sense, that precipitated the Revolutionary War, that showed the illegitimacy of monarchy and told Americans that they were legitimate to want a republic and they could win. He wrote about this, and he said that any body that attempts to issue paper money deserves to be impeached and sooner or later may expect it. He also called for the death penalty for those who would issue paper money. But, well, thank you. No wimps in this crowd, okay. But to me, it's a little eerie because Richard Milhouse Nixon was the president who took us off the last vestiges of the gold standard, and what happened to him? He resigned in the face of certain impeachment, just as Thomas Paine predicted. Before him, FDR took us off the domestic gold standard, so after 1933, you couldn't bring your money in. But even when I was a kid, silver certificates, you could bring a $1 bill into any bank and turn it in, get a $1 nice 1 ounce strong silver dollar. Now, none of us, not me with silver dollars, not my father with $20 gold coins, actually walked around and bought and sold stuff with this. We didn't use it to pay our rent. We didn't use it to buy gas. Because metal money is a bad medium of exchange. It's heavy. It's inconvenient. Paper money is a great medium of exchange. You carry it around and it folds in your pocket. But paper money loses its value unless it's convertible into gold money. And so with the gold standard, it's the best of both worlds. You have the convenience of paper money, but you have the stability of gold. On August 15th, 1971, 40 years ago next month, Richard Nixon gave a speech to the nation in which he announced this series of horrible things. It was like he and his advisors decided to impose the Communist Manifesto on America. It was weird. Wage price controls, a 10% tariff across everything, and taking us off the gold standard. And he said, and you can see this on YouTube, let me lay to rest the bugaboo about devaluation. You know, for those people who buy stuff made in America, their dollar is going to be worth as much tomorrow as it is today. Well, it's tomorrow. It's 40 years later. And the 2011 dollar is worth 19 cents compared to the 1971 dollar. That's a big-time broken promise. The gold standard doesn't look any different than the current monetary policy. It doesn't mean that we're walking around with little bags of gold coins or silver coins or coins of any kind. It's just by being convertible to that, our paper money, our ATM money, our bank account money, our credit card money remains exactly the same in value. And so an honest day's pay for an honest day's work in honest money. That's what the gold standard is all about. Think of it as an insurance policy on the value of our money, not some ox cart and clipper ship thing. This is a way of putting the power of your money back in your hands. The elites, the Federal Reserve Bank, the Treasury Secretary, they said, no, we can do better. Okay, let us control the value of the money. Well, as we've seen it steadily erode by over 80% in just 40 years, we have seen every promise they made to us back in the 1970s broken. The recessions have been more frequent, not less frequent. They've been deeper and longer rather than shorter and shallower. Job creation has been slower. Under the gold standard, if we had stayed with the gold standard, the American economy and each and every one of our share of it would be at least 1/3 larger than it is today. Our deficit is not only a problem of spending, it's a problem of stunted growth because nobody knows what a dollar is going to be worth tomorrow except for less. The Constitution requires precious metals to be the basis for our monetary policy. And it was invented, by the way, by a mediocre guy named Sir Isaac Newton, who invented the gold standard in 1717 when he was master of the Mint of England, drawing on the work of another terrible ignoramus who did some really important foundational work in the gold standard named Copernicus. A lot of people just don't know about the pedigree, but the gold standard was invented by the greatest geniuses in history and implemented by the greatest political philosophers in history, George Washington and the Founding Fathers. And thank you. Okay, yes, let's round of applause for George Washington, please. Yes. The gold standard brings us prosperity. We would have a $20 trillion economy today instead of a $14 trillion economy today if the economy had been growing under gold standard rates, which is 25 to 50% faster every year. And 1% faster growth a year doesn't sound like a lot, but when you compound it over 25 or 30 years, you're talking about an economy that's a third bigger. A third bigger economy at the same tax rates creates a third more tax revenue. Guess what? The budget is balanced. There is no entitlement crisis. The promises we've made to our seniors to take care of them in their old age through Social Security, which they spent a lifetime paying into, could be easily honored. Prosperity is the first thing the gold standard brings us. Security is the next thing. If all you know is that your dollar is going to be worth less and less, how do you save for your retirement? How do you save to pass something on to your children or to fund their education? It's not possible. The rich people on Wall Street love it. Uncertainty is how they make their billions. But for working people like me and like most of you, it is a death sentence on the ability to save, invest, and provide for our own and our own family's security. The last thing that it provides us is liberty. This is something. Gold has value. Nobody gives it value. It's always had value. 1 ounce of gold would buy you a toga, the very best toga, back in the Roman Empire. It would buy you a fine suit in Great Britain, and it would buy you a good suit today. That's just how much people value it as. Okay? It has authenticity. It has integrity. And it is up and above where the politicians are. So by us doing the necessary thing, like when Mrs. Bachman comes here, I want all of you to ask her where she stands on the gold standard. Because God bless her, she wants to represent you. She's one of the best. Okay, but she needs to hear from you. Your letters to the editor need to hear from you. Your blogs, your emails need to hear from you. And for those of you who want to learn more about this, go to goldstandard2012.org or go to thegoldstandardnow.org or come up to me when all the festivities are over. I've written a little 40-page booklet. I have a few extra copies. I'll give it to you, but only if you promise that if you're convinced, you will do something about it. You will ask the candidates, you will talk to your elected officials, and you will make your voice heard. Thank you very much.